Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise and get straight to the fascinating core of what you need to know.
Great to be here.
So today, we're plunging into something pretty interesting, I think. The surprising world of fan stories around Avatar, the Last Airbender's romances.
Right, and you'd kind of expect the main couples to just dominate everything, wouldn't you?
Totally.
But get this, the Cabbage Merchant and his cabbages, 43 fanfics on Archive of Our Own.
43! For the cabbages.
It's definitely a unique kind of love story.
My cabbages. Indeed. But okay, seriously, when we look at the main pairings, there's this real gap. Katara and Aang Katang, they have about, 1,200 fics?
Around that, yeah.
But then Zutara, Zuko, and Katara, that's sitting at like 4,000. That's a huge difference.
It really is.
Wow.
A big gap. And it immediately makes you ask, why? Why such a difference for the couple that actually becomes canon?
Exactly. And it points to something we really want to challenge in this deep dive, this common feeling that the Katara and Aang relationship, Katang, isn't that...
Or that it feels a bit one-sided. Or just, the classic hero gets the girl in.
Right. So our mission today is to really unpack Katang, to look at its surprising depth, its unique strengths.
We want to get into why their connection is maybe much richer than people often think, and what kind of love story it actually is.
Because, let's be honest, critics often stack it up against Zutara, don't they?
They do. And Zutara gets framed as having more, symbolic weight. The whole water and fire thing. Mm-hmm. The idea of Katara being motherly and Zuko having his mummy. Or that they connect through shared dark.
So the question we're digging into is, does that comparison really tell the whole story about Katang? Does it hold up?
Let's find out. Think about where we first meet Aang. He's literally the last airbender.
Everyone he knew, everyone he loved, just gone. His entire culture, his world, wiped out, replaced by this 100-year war.
Yeah, the world he knew was unrecognizable. The air nomad culture itself, so much of its knowledge, its practices, just lost forever. It's this profound, unfixable grief.
You really feel it when he visits the southern air, desolate, eerie.
And that sense of loss, that grief, that loneliness, it's always there under the surface for Aang, even with his optimism.
He really fights against giving in to rage and pain, doesn't he? Like after the air temple, or, when Appa gets taken.
He does fight it. But what's really striking, I think, is how much of that deep emotional landscape, that specific kind of loss, also applies to Katara.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, think about it. Her people, the Southern Waterbenders, they were also targeted, systematically wiped out by the Fire Nation.
Right. She grew up as the only waterbender down there, cut off from her own heritage, having to hide that part of herself.
And carrying the weight of her mother's sacrifice, too. So when she's desperate for a waterbending teacher, or when she meets Hama, it's not just about learning moves.
It's about reconnecting with something lost, a lost identity.
Exactly. So if you look at it that way, both Aang and Katara are profoundly alone in the world.
But they find themselves alone together. Like they might be the only two people who can truly grasp the depth of what the other has lost.
That's such a key point. And it's why Katara specifically can pull Aang back from the brink, like at the Southern Air Temple or with Appa.
It's not just her being the heart of the group.
No, it's deeper. It's that she understands on this really visceral level the scale of his grief. That shared experience, it creates this powerful foundation for them.
Like a deep friendship, a loyalty.
Precise, a profound sense of philia, that deep bond that goes beyond just being teammates.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But let's tackle a common critique, the idea that maybe Katang feels a bit one-sided.
Yes. The perception that Katara does a lot of the supporting, and maybe Aang's support for her isn't always as obvious or reciprocal.
I think people often point to moments like in the Southern Raiders. When Aang tries to relate to her grief about her mother but tells her to forgive, it lands a bit flat.
It can definitely come across that way, yeah. It's a moment that sticks with people. But, maybe it's less about a lack of empathy and more about different ways of processing emotion.
Or even cultural differences. Air nomad versus water tribe.
Possibly. Aang, being an air nomad, is generally quite masterful with his emotions. His outbursts are rare, powerful. Katara, though, she's defined by her strong feelings, often right there on the surface.
That's a really good point. It's like Aang offers a solution, forgive, when maybe what she needed right then was just validation for her anger.
Right. Just someone to hear her. Yet Aang does show support in other ways, maybe less direct ways.
Like how he stands up to Pakku for her right away.
Exactly. Or how he champions her passions.
Yeah.
Sokka initially kind of dismisses her wanting that waterbending scroll, but Aang's right there encouraging her.
Yeah, he believes in her power.
And maybe the biggest thing, Aang represents a kind of freedom for Katara. Think about it. She had to hide her bending, suppress this huge part of her. But from the moment Aang shows up, he's constantly pushing her to embrace it, praising, helping her see herself as powerful, not someone who needs to hide.
And through her, he starts to see he needs to step up too, right? Embrace being the avatar.
Absolutely. It's this developing pragma, that practical, enduring love built on helping each other.
That ties into another big dynamic. Katara having to grow up too fast. She's 14, acting as the mom for Sokka, for the whole tribe, basically.
There's definitely a subtle resentment there. You can feel it. It's maybe even part of why she frees Aang, this spark of something different. She put her own childhood on hold.
Which is a heavy burden for a teenager.
And Aang is, in many ways, the opposite. So carefree, finds joy easily. What he offers her is exactly what she was missing. Permission to be a kid again.
Penguin sledding, the first thing he asks her.
Yeah, exactly. He helps her find joy, wonder, freedom from that constant responsibility. It's this really lovely balance.
He pushes her to take risks, too, like going into the Fire Nation ship, trusting her gut.
It feels like a really strong give and take. She grounds him, helps him face his destiny.
And he helps her find her freedom, her lightness again. And for Aang, I mean, after losing everything, Katara is hope. She makes the world seem worth it.
Totally. And if you connect that to the guru, remember, that deep love and grief for his people, it gets sort of reborn as love for Katara.
She represents his new life in this world.
The Pathic tells him he has to let her go to master the Avatar state. That's huge.
And he refuses. Initially, he chooses her.
Right.
It's only when the world is literally hanging in the balance that he tries to detach.
Which leads to that really interesting moment. He makes the choice to save Katara, potentially sacrificing his full mastery of the Avatar state.
That feels like such a defining moment for his love, his maturity, and maybe that's when Katara starts seeing less like a kid.
Until Azula shoots him with lightning, of course. Which, yeah.
Yeah, that complicates things, but it raises that point. For a lot of the show, Katara does see him as younger, like a little brother.
She had to mature so quickly, while Aang, for a while, really clung to being carefree. That difference in maturity levels is definitely something people notice.
They really do start in different emotional... And a lot of their romance feels like it builds out of that strong friendship first, then transforms.
Right, it's not like, say, Sokka and Suki, where you felt that romantic spark and mutual respect kind of building together from early on.
Which might be why Aang's early flirting attempts can feel
a little cringy sometimes, yeah. Because their emotional journeys aren't quite in sync for a good chunk of the series.
Katara's ahead in maturity. Aang's catching up on the responsibility front.
It's really as Aang steps into his role, finds his own emotional strength, that Katara starts to see romantic.
You think it shifts after the fortune tell, when she hears the prophecy about marrying a powerful bender.
And then sees Aang fighting the volcano looking like Roku.
Yeah, that definitely gives her a new perspective.
There are hints before, like the Cave of Two Lovers maybe, but the romance seems to really pick up in season 3. Like after Aang runs off, ashamed after the invasion fails, Katara's reaction is telling.
What does she say?
Something like, it's not brave, it's selfish and stupid. We could be helping him. I know the world needs him, but we need him too. She's definitely talking about herself there.
Oh, absolutely. Generalizing her very person. And those feelings get clearer, like in the headband. That dance.
Another moment of Aang helping her let loose, live a little, forget being cautious. And you see her attraction to his confidence starting to emerge there. It's moving beyond just philia. There's some arrow, maybe, some ludus, that playful attraction.
Leading up to the kiss before the day in Black Sun, they're both terrified, not great at talking about, quiet, understated.
Which brings up another critique sometimes. Does Katara have enough agency in how the relationship develops? Her really overt expressions seem to come later.
Yeah, Aang's feelings are clearer earlier on.
And look, many big, passionate love stories really lean on those undeniable, proactive feelings from both sides. Katang is subtler.
A more overt declaration from Katara earlier might have landed differently for some.
Possible, especially when you contrast it with Zutara again. Their interactions are always charged, intense, back and forth, no doubt about strong feeling.
Which brings us right to it. Does Katang actually work as a compelling? And maybe part of the issue for some fans is that it's fundamentally quite straightforward.
Yeah, there isn't a ton of interpersonal conflict.
Right. It's two good people who grow to like each other. One maybe gets there first, a moment of tension, they get together. It's
a perfectly valid love story. Just maybe not the high drama, high tension narrative some audiences crave.
Yeah.
Especially that Eros-driven tension.
Whereas Zutara is just packed with that. Conflict, intrigue, every scene crackles.
It's a totally different vibe. More Eros, passionate, intense, sometimes volatile. The drama makes their connection feel, earned through fire and ice, literally.
Sokka's relationships have push and pull, too. With Katang, the main conflict is external. Them against the world, not really them each other.
And that deep connection they have exists mainly as friendship before Katara fully clocks her romantic feelings.
Some might argue Aang's love feels a bit less earned, because it started as a crush he just kind of ran with.
Compared to Sokka and Suki's respect-based growth, or Zutara's trauma bonding maybe. But then again, Well, lots of real healthy relationships start exactly like that, right? Realizing you're into your best friend, that philia turning into something more. It's actually very authentic.
That's true. It's also not very sexualized, Katang, which is right for the show's audience, but it is a contrast.
Sokka and Suki give flirty moments, and Zutara fan art. Phew. That often looks like a romance novel cover. Intense, physical, strong arrows.
Katang fan art tells a different story, doesn't it?
Completely. Their relationship isn't really held back by typical romance drama-like misunderstandings. It's mostly about good people supporting each other.
Which doesn't make it bad, just maybe calmer seas. It really embodies that enduring pragma and maybe even unconditional agape love.
And that's what's so cool when you look at the fan community's take. Browse Katang fan art. It's just bubbly, positive.
Katang is her biggest cheerleader. She's his rock.
It's consistently shown as soft, comforting, like coming home. Fundamentally good, healthy love. Very philia, very pragma.
Zutara fan art, though, still often healthy, but there's that edge, that passion rooted in their conflict.
Very physical, bodies entwined, fitting together. It's real, but it taps into different desire. More arrows, folks.
You even see, like, Vampire Zuko feeding on Katara sometimes in fan art. That dark, risky, electric vibe.
You would never see that with Aang.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And that difference is key. It brings us back to those Greek words for love.
Right. Eros for passion, philia for friendship.
Agape for unconditional love, ludus for playful love, pragma for enduring, practical love.
Looking at the fan stuff, the discussions, it's pretty clear which types of love Katang and Zutara mostly represent.
Exactly. And neither is better. They just scratch different itches, appeal to different parts of how we experience love.
You know, I think part of it, too, might be Aang himself. He's not a typical romance hero archetype.
How do you mean?
Well, he's shorter than Katara. He's a pacifist, not aggressive, very open with his emotion, maybe less traditionally masculine.
That's an interesting point. For some viewers, that might make connecting with the romance feel different.
And yeah, okay, there may be a couple of clunky writing bits with Katang, like the whole Avatar State versus Katara dilemma.
Which then gets kind of walked back by later lore stuff.
Right. It doesn't ruin it, but it muddies that big choice, makes it less clear-cut.
So yeah, wrapping things up a bit. While Katang might seem vanilla or like that ship on calm seas because it lacks that overt internal conflict.
Its real depth comes from something else.
Exactly. That shared experience of genocide, loss, cultural disconnect, that bond only they truly share. That's the bedrock. Deep philia, deep agape.
And it is reciprocal. Katang gives Katara freedom, lets her be a kid again. She gives him hope, helps him accept being the Avatar. That's real pragma.
It's incredibly supportive, focused on growth. A partnership.
And the fan art reflects that, doesn't it? Soft, comforting, family-focused, loyalty, subtle connect, philia, agape, pragma.
Beautifully contrasted with the passion, the physicality, the arrows you often see in Zutara depictions.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. In a world, and maybe in fiction especially, that often obsesses over high drama, explosive chemistry, what can Katang's quieter, supportive, calm sea love teach?
What does it tell us about those subtle, maybe less flashy, but powerful connections that actually sustain us in real life?
Something to think about.